Well, I mean, I'll give you an example. Emergency spending when you've got a pandemic and you've locked down the economy because you screwed up the first 2 months of the pandemic, you need to do that. You do not need to continue that level of spending as the economy rapidly recovers because the pandemic is ending, because you have a successful vaccination program. So we're already in the business of overheating the economy. And if Larry Summers, the high priest of secular stagnation, thinks we're overheating the economy, we're overheating the economy. There's going to be an inflation problem. It's already visible. So they're creating needlessly a problem for themselves by thinking that they have to keep doing this aggressive fiscal stimulus. And I think the reason they're doing that is that they see the opportunity to expand the federal government to an even larger share of GDP. They talk about infrastructure. I'm very skeptical that the investments, such as they are, will significantly increase the productive capital of the United States. In fact, it may in fact be a wash. We might end up investing in some technologies when we could in fact have let the shale gas revolution deliver an equally good, if not better, outcome for productivity. So I think that the list of mistakes is long, Joe, but you asked me what should they be doing? What should we be doing? And I think the answer is actually relatively simple. It's what I try to argue in The Great Degeneration, that there needs to be an attack on the regulatory state, which is a profoundly dysfunctional entity, vast numbers of government agencies.
Yeah, there's no check on it.
None at all. And in fact, we see that they fail at the job they're supposed to do. The public health bureaucracy failed with COVID.
You think everyone kind of realized how badly the regulators failed in the last year? That maybe it's more popular energy around that?
What's sad is that there hasn't been a realization that time and again in crisis after crisis, going all the way back to 9/11, this large bureaucracy with all its different agencies has failed. It failed in the case of the financial crisis. It failed with COVID. And it's not for lack of planning. They have any number of regulations and pandemic preparedness plans and bank capital adequacy regulations. It's just that they don't work. So we need to be much more skeptical about the claims of big government, and we need to be working hard to replace this antiquated way of doing things with something that is more tech-enabled and more efficient and less costly. Shrinking the government should still be the goal. Unfortunately, in the crisis of the last year and a half, that argument has, I fear, decisively been lost. But there are other things that are actually lower-hanging fruit. We have a pathologically dysfunctional system of education, particularly in public schools, because the power of the teachers' unions is too great. It's a vested interest. It's hurting our kids, especially poorer kids. That's the kind of thing that a truly reforming administration would be taking on. Of course, it's not going to happen.
We'd be giving poor kids choice, basically.
Exactly. And we know that that's actually popular with the kind of families who are stuck with lousy public schools, but it's precisely what isn't being delivered. And unfortunately, neither party has really addressed this in a serious way in all the time that I've been in the United States, which is 2 decades now. Well, Lenin said the worse the better. Well, we've certainly got it worse. The question is, does that lead to some improvement at some point? And I think it'll only be when we rethink, and this applies particularly to Republicans, we rethink our critique of the administrative state. Because at this point, I think we almost have to go back to first principles. First principles when it comes to education, first principles when it comes to legal reform and criminal justice reform, and first principles above all when it comes to governance and how we deliver public services.